All right, good afternoon, everyone. Clap once if you can hear my voice. Clap twice if you can hear my voice. Again, just make sure that we are practicing our best auditorium etiquette right now. Make sure that you're facing the stage. If you see someone in your row who's still chatting, just give them a nonverbal cue. If you're coming in, make sure you do so quietly because we really want to get started. We have some awesome guest speakers today. One important announcement before we get going. I want to congratulate our girls Falcons volleyball team who came up with first place. And our boys who took home second place. Give them both a big round of applause. Great job. So, we have some 8th grade students who are here to introduce our speakers today, so I will let them do that job. So please welcome our 8th graders Chris and Natasha to the stage so they can introduce our guest speakers today.
Being a Falcon is about being a contributor. That means that when you see a problem in the world, you use your knowledge, talent, and persistence to make a difference. Our speaker today truly embodies this spirit. His childhood was defined by war. His parents died when he was young. He became a child soldier, and he was surrounded by violence on a daily basis. Although he was responsible for laying mines and other violent acts as a child soldier, he felt a deep need to make amends after the war. Since 1992, he is responsible personally for removing and destroying as many as 50,000 mines. And he is the founder of a Cambodian landmine museum. He also has taken in and supported the education of dozens of children who have been abandoned as a result of war and poverty. He was selected as the top 10 CNN hero in 2010 and has received numerous other international distinctions for his work.
Here today to introduce Aki Ra is Mr. Bill Morris, a veteran of the U.S. Army who, along with his wife Jill, left comfortable life in California to found the Landmine Relief Fund, which supports Aki Ra's mission to protect children from the effects of war and poverty. To this date, the foundation has built 20 schools in low-priority areas of Cambodia, provided essential medical care to thousands, and cleared over 120 minefields. Please give a warm Falcon welcome to Mr. Bill Morris.
So today, Kanyom Chamu Bill, Kanyom Chamu Babu. My name is Bill. I was just speaking Cambodian, the little bit I can speak. I am from Siem Reap, Cambodia. I spent, before I moved to Cambodia, I spent 20 years living in Palm Springs, California. Anybody from California? You know where Palm Springs is? We lived in Palm Springs. Before that, we lived in Massachusetts, Texas. I lived all over the States. First time in Dubai. I'm impressed. It's a pretty nice place. So you need to appreciate where you live because where I live is significantly different. I grew up, when I was your age, there was a war going on, the Vietnam War. There's a war going on now, but during the Vietnam War, we had a draft. You guys know what a draft is? And when you turned 18, if you weren't in school, they brought you into the Army. So everybody my age, about your age, we were making sure we got our grades up, we kept our grades up so we could get into college so we didn't have to get drafted. I joined the Army. I was an officer in the United States Army. I got commissioned when I got out of college. I was a military policeman, did not have to go to Vietnam. I did my time in the States. When I got out of the Army, I was an anti-war activist. I was one of those guys who was in the streets demonstrating to end the Vietnam War in 1972. You ever heard of a guy named Richard Nixon? Okay, well, I worked for the guy who ran against Richard Nixon in 1972. I helped run part of his campaign. Vietnam War was a very big part of my growing up. And in 1974, the Americans left Vietnam, and in 1975, Vietnam The North Vietnamese captured Saigon, and Vietnam became one country. Cambodia is right next door, and it kind of became a peripheral war. Cambodia never declared war on anybody. The United States dropped 540,000 tons of bombs on Cambodia from 1965 to 1973. It's 3 times what they dropped on Japan in all of World War II. Thousands of people were killed, and ultimately a group called the Khmer Rouge were taken over. When Aki Ra was your age, and he's going to tell you his story in far more detail. When Aki Ra was your age, he was laying landmines. He was carrying an AK-47, and he was a soldier. He was stolen from his family when he was 5. He became a soldier at 10 when they came in at it with a gun and said, you know, your choice is to be a soldier or get shot. In 2003, I was living in the United States. I was living in LA. I was a businessman at that point, and a guy came in and said, give me $100. I'm trying to raise money to buy a mine detector for Aki Ra. And I looked at him and said, you know, what's an Aki Ra? He said, he's a Cambodian guy. He clears landmines with a stick and a pair of pliers, and he's caring for a bunch of wounded kids. And I laughed at him and said, yeah, right. You know, where's the scam? You know, what's in it for him? And the guy said, nothing. He was a child soldier. This is what he does. I got online, watched a couple of documentaries on him. I read a story on him in the New York Times, the London Times. And my wife and I decided that we needed to go to Cambodia and meet this guy. I'd never met anybody who actually, we say walk the walk and, you know, talk the talk and walk the walk. So we went to Cambodia, we found him. He was living along the Siem Reap River in a little compound of little grass huts. He had 18 kids living with him. I walked into a room with 18 kids, many of them your age, blown up from a war that, you know, we get taught ended in 1975. The Vietnam War is blowing people up in Cambodia every 4 days today. It didn't end in 1975. It stopped bothering us in 1975. It's still bothering the Cambodians. And I walked into that room, and my wife and I went back to our hotel room, and we talked and said, you know, when it was my behind that was going to get sent over there and get shot, we were concerned about it. And when we left, we patted ourselves on the back and said, what a wonderful job we have done. And we killed people in Cambodia and Vietnam and Laos for the last 30 or 40 years. Then we said, you know, maybe there's some responsibility that we have. So we went back and talked to Aki Ra the next day. I went back and said, how much does it cost you to clear landmines? And he said, $500. Now, you know, I was an American businessman. I had my own business. $500, we could do that. I could go talk to my friends and say, ooh, I work with a guy in Cambodia who clears landmines, and I get to go to minefields, and everybody got stoked about that, and they give me money, and I'd give it to Aki Ra. I raised $1,000 from my friends there in Cambodia, gave it to Aki Ra, went back and said, we're going to start a charity to support your work, and he looked at me and rolled his eyes, said, you know, yeah, okay, right, sure, thank you very much, thank you for helping Cambodia. He was very diplomatic. And I said, you've heard this story before, and he said, yeah, you know, a lot of people go home and they have a life and they have kids and they have school and they have a job and they forget about Cambodia. We didn't. We started the charity, we continued it. 2007, the government required him to stop clearing with a stick and a pair of pliers and to start following the international rules for clearing landmines and get a license for doing this. I mean, if you live in the United States or Canada or Europe and you want to tear your house down, you can't go down to Costco or Tesco or Walmart, buy a box of dynamite and start blowing buildings up in your neighborhood. They're going to get annoyed at that. The same thing in Cambodia. You got to get a license. So Aki Ra asked me if I would help him do the paperwork. He said in an interview he did recently that, you know, sitting down and talking nice to the power people is very stressful. And the guy said, it's more stressful than the war. He said, oh yeah, the war is very easy. You know, carrying a gun and fighting is no problem at all, but sitting down and talking to the power people, I don't like to do that. So I came over to help him. I came over for 3-4 weeks, and I wound up there for 2 years. At the end of 2 years, my wife, who was a school teacher, came over to Cambodia, and she said, did you ever think about moving to Cambodia? And I looked at her and said, yeah, I think about it every day, but I never had the nerve to bring it up. She said, you know, I can teach school anywhere. So she quit her teaching job, and We locked up our house with the sheets on the bed and the dishes in the cupboards, and we went to Cambodia for 2 years. And, pardon me, that was 8 years ago. So 3-4 years ago, we went back to California. We sold the house, auctioned everything off, and we live in Cambodia permanently. We run a charity that supports the work that Akira does. He does the work. The people in Cambodia do the work. There is no problem in that country that cannot be solved by Cambodians. There's a story that if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach a man a fish, you feed him for a lifetime. Cambodians could fish 1,000 years ago, guys. We blew up their boats. We burned their fishing poles. It is our responsibility to assist them to do the job for themselves. I work for him. I raise money from the American government, we get money from the South Korean government, we get money from Swiss foundations and all kinds of different people, and that money is used for the work that he wants to do. The landmines were laid by the Cambodians. They came from all over the world. We have landmines from Russia, China, East Germany, Czechoslovakia, Poland, Hungary, Vietnam, Cambodia, United States, Thailand, Singapore, Sweden, pretty much anybody in the world who made this stuff, it wound up over there. But nobody's going to Washington or Ottawa or Berlin and saying, please, raise my taxes so I can give the money away to a country that nobody can find on a map. The responsibility for clearing landmines today is not mine, it's not Akira's, it's not Washington's or Berlin's. The responsibility for clearing landmines around the world and for the problems around the world rests with you. It is your generation that will solve the problems in the world today. It's not me. I'll be 70 years old in 2 months. 4 months. Don't make it too soon. I'll be 70 years old in 4 months. I will not live long enough to see the landmines gone in Cambodia. We have 5 million landmines left in Cambodia. The injuries we have gone from 6,000 a year to 87 last year. Now, that's an amazing improvement. It means we're only blowing someone up in Cambodia every 4 days. Now, Cambodia is the size of Missouri. If we were blowing someone up every 4 days in Missouri, the American Army, I'm fairly certain, would be in Kansas City marching to St. Louis. We would not allow that to happen. At the end of World War II, we cleared 95 million landmines in Europe. We did it in 6 years. We worked 25 years in Cambodia to clear 5% of that number. This isn't a technology problem, it's a commitment problem. And the people that will solve this problem is you guys. One of the main reasons we are here today is to empower you and let you know that not only is it your responsibility to do this, but you have the power and the ability to do this. You're a generation that no one has ever seen before. You can talk to people around the world instantaneously. Forget about languages. There's apps right now where you can talk to someone in a language you don't even know, and it will translate it instantly. I mean, we're very close to the universal translator from Star Trek or something. What you guys can do today weren't in the wildest dreams of the people who were the high-tech people when I was growing up. I'm going to turn this over to Akira in just a second, but I want you to listen carefully to what he says, because when he was your age, he was a soldier, and he was carrying an AK-47, and he was laying hundreds and hundreds of landmines in the ground every day. This is a picture of him taking apart an American anti-tank mine about 17 years ago with a hunting knife. Don't try this at home. This thing will leave a crater in the ground 2 meters wide and 1 meter deep. Yeah. And if it goes off when you're sitting over it like that, there's nothing left to bury. It'll just blow you into little bitty tiny pieces. So far, we've cleared 139 villages. We build schools in very remote areas of Cambodia where we don't have roads, they don't have water, they don't have electricity. We built 21 schools for 3,000 kids. We've returned 34,000 people to land that they were unable to use, land that was killing them on a daily basis. So this is an important job, and it is going to be passed on to you. So I'm going to introduce Akira. my friend.
Hello, my name's Akira. I am from Cambodia, and now I working clearing landmine every day in Cambodia. It's still a lot of million left. Landmine lay from 1970 until 1997, and 7 million lay by Cambodia Khmer Army and Vietnamese Army. And when I born in 1970, I am 1970 I born, and about 5 years old, I lost my parent killed by the Khmer Army in 1975, and I stay with the group of the Army Khmer in the jungle in the camp with many hundred children, and take care by women army, and a lot of my friends died by the war, by the very sick malaria or dengue fever, because don't have enough food to eat and drinking with bad water, a lot of mosquito bite. So I am lucky that I am survived. And 1979, a lot of Vietnamese army come invade to Cambodia against Khmer. And 1980, the Khmer army, they need more army to join with them, and they ask, even you are girl or boy, they don't care how old are you, you stand up. They put the same size of the gun, AK-47, 1 meter tall. You can be the army and help support them. If you say no, you run away, they kill. So I have no choice. I have to say yes. I join army with them. In that time, when they're fighting in front of the battle, I have to carry the bullet, water, food, support them behind. After 1 year later, I understand. They teach me how to use the weapon, landmine, gun, grenade, mortar, rocket, like that. So I joined the special group lay landmine in that time for the Khmer protect from Vietnamese. Put the booby trap, and then night time I find food is hunting, deer, rabbit, something like that for they eat. Yeah, and I am happy to be the army because I have choice. I can eat enough. I have power. I can play gun, landmine like toy, grenade. And they never teach me the world is different. English, American, or Chinese, different language. The world is different. I only think is the same. And they explain me, all my friends, Vietnamese, they are very bad people. They are look like a giant. They eat people, they killing Cambodia. They are the robber, they want to take Cambodia country. The Khmer is good, protect the country. So I say yes, Khmer good, I like. And when we fighting at night time, I am very happy. I see good life from the gun, machine gun, from rocket mortar, big bang, big explosion, like a drum is music and beautiful fighting. So better than civilian people. When I was no army, I have no choice. Very hard work, not enough food. When I become army, I can choose what I want and better life. So I don't understand it dead or injured with landmine fighting. After I was cut by Vietnamese army in 1986, my friend died, lose war. I ran away, Vietnamese caught me, and a lot of my friends was cut also. And the Vietnamese, after 1 week later, they asked my friend, do you like Vietnamese or no? And my friend said, no, I don't like. And when they asked me, do you like Vietnamese army? I said, yes, I like. Oh, why you like Vietnamese? And then the Khmer Rouge was cut by the Vietnamese who don't like Vietnamese. After they kill them, and me, they don't kill because I am. They said, oh, you are look cute army, very small, youngest army. And you like Vietnamese, it's okay. And the Vietnamese explain all the village people, explain me. They said they coming to Cambodia is helping Cambodia. Because Khmer Rouge bad, killing your parents, don't give you enough food to eat. Khmer Rouge told you Vietnamese bad like a giant, a robber, don't believe them. I am not giant, I am not robber. Please believe I am good people. And then I said, yes, you are good people, I like you. And then they let me out from the jail, and then they asked me what you do in the Khmer Rouge army. I said, I do this, do that, I helping, hunting, lay mine. And then they said, okay, you do the same and help me. Yeah, I am. So I am survived. I do the same when I was with the Khmer Rouge. Lay landmine, hunting, fighting, and help, washing clothes, cook tea, find food. And one day, I fighting, I saw my uncle in front of me, 50 meters. I tried to shoot near his head, don't shoot on his head. I don't want to kill. And then many grass smoke. My uncle don't saw me, but they keep fighting behind my friend. And then I shoot more few bullets to make sign like this, please look to me. And then he keep fighting, he don't saw me. And my friend asked me, you saw that enemy, you are in front, kill them. Okay, I keep shoot a few bullets more, but not hit on his head. And Vietnamese said, why you are bad today? Before you see enemy in front of you, you can kill easy, only few bullets, but today is bad fighting. I said, sorry, I am very headache now, I cannot see well, my eyes, yeah. And then they said, okay, if you sick, rest, go back and take tablet and stay safe. I said, thank you, and then I ran away. But I am not sick, sometimes like that. And the mind that I live for like that, many times is kill animal, village people. I see very sad people crying, they lose cow, they lose buffalo, and I am, one day I go to lay mine with 100 in my bag. My friend go to lay over there, you lay over there. I put mine in here, and then I don't take safety pin off. The mine when we put the safety pin off and bury in the ground. But I put all 100 in my bag in the ground. I bury in all together. I wait after my friend coming a few hours. They are sweet and tired. Hi friend, you lay mine already? Yes. Okay, let's go back. And then in the morning, wake up 6 o'clock, come to clear your mine bag because the village people will go for farmer, for safe. And then you go to clear your mine, and I clear my mine here. And then I bring all and wait, and they come back and say, you clear mine already? Yes, and then just go back, because I don't want to kill any more animal or village people like that, some that, yeah. And after Vietnamese left, 1989, I still work for government army. And then 1993, the peacekeeper, UN, United Nations, many different army from the world come to Cambodia. I am happy. They said, you can choose. They tell me, you can drop your gun, you stop lay landmine, you can go to school, study how to read, to write, you can change your life, it's peace. And then, and I understand that time. I am happy. I clear landmine with the UN, learning how to use new equipment, metal detector, how to wear protection, In the war, we don't have. We use stick or feet or knife to clear landmine, and very dangerous. And then I'm happy in the UN time, make my life change. I understand the world is different. And then I did a lot of bad things in the past. I throw away. I choose the good thing to help my country to make safe from landmine. And I start to clear landmine from that time. I helping the poor orphanage children, no parent, no leg, no arm by landmine, that they cannot go to school. They are coming to live with me. And then now I have my NGO clearing landmine. I have a rule, I follow them, and easy to work with many support, like Bill also, he support, and very safe, a lot of good equipment to clearing landmine. A lot of thousand landmine can clear every years. And then after clear landmine in the small poor village that they never have the school, also the chief village asked me to make the school for the children, and I do it 21 school now. A lot of 1,000 students study in every day. Yeah, thank you very much.
Akira has 3 kids of his own. His oldest son is named Amatak. He's in grade 8.
Grade 8, 14 years old, and Min, 12 years old, is grade 6, and Meta, the youngest daughter, my grade 5.
His second son is named Kropmin. That means landmine. When he was a little baby, he used to live at the museum and he played with the landmines.
Yeah, he played landmine like a toy.
So they decided to call him Kropmin. We have one girl who lives at the Landmine Museum who just graduated from high school. She's in her first year of university. All the kids who live at the museum can go to university if they want. She graduated at 26. Most of the kids in rural Cambodia don't start school till they're 8, 9, or 10 years old. So it's not unusual to graduate from high school when you're 20 or 21 years old. It's very common in Cambodia to do that. So kids your age would be in elementary school because they never had the opportunity to go to school before. But we're going to open this up for questions. So if you have any questions at all, both of us are a little hard of hearing, so speak clearly, and we will have to have somebody maybe repeat the questions. But he's hard of hearing because he blew up a lot of stuff. I'm just old, so.
Can you speak a different language than Cambodian?
I couldn't. Oh, how many languages can you speak?
I speak a little bit English, Japanese, a little Vietnamese.
French.
Oui, on peut parler le français.
How many speak French? 10. That's annoying. So, je suis américain, je parle très bien français.
Has any of your friends been hurt by landmines?
Any of your friends been hurt by landmines?
Yeah, a lot of my friends die injured by landmine in the war. But for clearing right now, my NGO is never accident or injured by landmine. It's safe.
Yeah, the worst injury we ever had, we had one guy who got bit. You know what a king cobra is? Yeah, he got bit by a king cobra 3 times. So he got out of his hammock one morning and it bit him on the foot. Twice collecting firewood, he got bit on the hand. And the guy who runs the demining team said, you know, we got to get rid of, we got to lose this guy. He's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's doing. And the other deminers all ran over and said, no, please let him stay. The cobra keeps biting him.
How do you know where the landmine is?
Yes, we have the survey team marking the sign, village people or army, they report us where they are, they live near the minefield, they know. And then we search with metal detector, we mark how big, how many hectare, and then the group go to find clearing with the machine metal detector. It's very easy to find it.
The government has done a lot of surveys around the country. The villagers have figured out where the minefields are. Over the years, the villagers know when they're farming their fields that if they walk over there, they're all going to get killed. So I told the last group, this ain't rocket science. You know, if everybody gets killed over here, there's probably a minefield there. They figured out that information. But 60% of our injuries in Cambodia do not come from landmines. They come from what we call unexploded ordnance. They started fighting in Cambodia in 1965. The war ended in 1998. It was 33 years. A lot of people fighting, a lot of stuff got shot, a lot of bombs got dropped. 20% of everything shot, fired, and dropped from an airplane doesn't work. It just hits the ground and goes bounce instead of boom. So we have 5 bomb squads, mobile teams that drive around, and when people find stuff, they will call the police or they will call Akira, and we call it an explosive ordnance disposal team, EOD team, and EOD team will go out and blow this stuff up. If you find something, you know, back home, if somebody finds an old hand grenade that Grandpa brought back from the war, you call the police and they send a bomb squad in and they show up in about 30 minutes. You call a bomb squad in Cambodia, they show up in 2 years.
How old is your child?
I have 3 children, 2 son, 1 youngest daughter. The oldest son, 14 years old. The next 12, and youngest daughter, 10.
And the boss of the 3 kids is?
Yeah, Meta, the youngest daughter. She very smart. She take care of everything. Yeah.
She makes sure her brothers do their homework every night.
Whenever the landmines are triggered, how high does the explosion go?
How do we blow it up?
To destroy landmine or bomb, we report to the chief village, police, army, stay nearby in that village. We will destroy in 30 minutes or 1 hour later. And then we have a meeting, all the group with clearing landmine. EOD team, we have 4. The mining team, we have 21 member staff. And then we got east, west, north, south, 2 men over there, 2 men over there, and then we prepare the explosive detonator that called electronic detonator with the fire cable, and then we go away like a few hundred meters, be safe, and then we can put the explosive near the mine or bomb, or we put in the hole, bury with the sandbag more, protect from fragment, not dangerous from far away, and then we explode. Press the button.
TNT we use to blow it up. The TNT we use comes from the old American bombs. So the Americans dropped 540,000 tons of bombs on Cambodia. 20% of them didn't work. They just hit the ground and went bounce. So when we find those bombs, we send them to the capital city, Phnom Penh, which is a couple 250 kilometers from where we live, and there's a company down there that takes it apart and they remove the TNT and give it back to us in little pieces, and we use those little pieces of TNT to blow the landmines up, and that's how we do it.
In the beginning, was it hard to disable a bomb?
Anybody know how to take apart a bomb?
Yeah, many people now, they understand how to take apart from the bomb.
You can take apart a 500-pound bomb?
I take a lot in 1990 until now.
And then our bomb squads, our bomb disposal teams are all taught to take apart 500-pound bombs. And we've got men and women both on the team. One of the teams is our office staff. And it's made up of 3 women and 1 guy, and they will respond to anything that's found in town. And then we have 3 teams that are out in trucks. We have one lady, Vasna,
Vesna.
and then 2 landmine victims, 2 kids who grew up at the Landmine Museum are on our bomb squads, and they can take apart a 500-pound bomb.
We have time for one more question if you have someone up there, Mr. Myers. But I will say that they will both be in the cafeteria all week. That's going to be their home base. So if you have questions that haven't gotten answered today, you can feel welcome to come up and approach either Akira or Bill.
How many bombs did you disable or landmines did you disable?
How many bombs have you taken apart? How many landmines?
Yeah, landmine, my NGO, take apart, destroy 10,000, and big bomb now is 25 bomb. Yeah.
All right, and thank you very much. It's been wonderful to hear from you today. Let's give them one more big round of applause and thank them for coming. Thank you, and again, don't be shy if you have questions. I know some of the 7th and 8th grade social studies classes will be meeting with Bill and Akira later this week. So you'll get a chance to ask some questions there. But if you want to meet them or talk to them, just come to the cafeteria and take a look around. A lot of times this week they'll be there, and you can sit down at their table and ask them some questions. So awesome to see contributors in action. A couple of quick announcements before we dismiss you back to your next classes. First off, the ROC awards, the ROC certificates, those are, if you don't know what those are starting now. So teachers, any staff member, even custodians or substitute teachers or people working in the cafeteria, if they see you modeling any of the core values, they will put a certificate in the office, and then you'll be entered in a rally. The prize is just some popcorn from the Falcon's Nest, but don't do it for the prize, of course. Do it because you love our school and you want to model our core values. So look forward to that. Also, don't forget, another way to be a contributor is to contribute to the food drive. A lot more food this week. That was awesome to see. That ends on Thursday. So if you're planning to do that in the student bulletin, you've been getting emails about what to bring. So make sure you do that and bring it in to support your grade level, but more importantly, to raise or to collect items that will go to the worker camps here in Dubai. And then I want to congratulate grade 6 for being the first one to finish all of their student photos. Please give them a round of applause. We still have about 10 grade 7 and 10 grade 8 students who have not had their photos done. If you are one of those students who have not had your student photo taken and you don't want like your 4th grade photo to be featured in everything, including the yearbook, you need to go to your next period class in a moment when we dismiss, tell your teacher, and then you go directly to D122 to have your photo taken. So if you haven't had your photo taken, report to your next period class, let your teacher know, and then go directly to D122 to take your photo. And because 6th grade were the first ones to finish taking their photos, you are dismissed first. Grades 7 and 8, just hold tight. You know what, grade 8, you can go out the bottom level. Go ahead, grade